What's up everybody and welcome back to another toy review. Today we are checking out the new HeroQuest card game from Hasbro. Now HeroQuest is my favorite board game of all time and it has been since 1989 when it originally came out. Okay, sure, the rules are a little dated, but that does not matter. I love the game to death and will play it as often as I can. If someone says let's play HeroQuest, you can guarantee I will be there. And like most of you, I am so pumped for the remake from Hasbro Labs. So pumped that I not only ordered one, but two of the Mythic Tier Collector's boxes. Cause you know what's better than HeroQuest? That's right, more HeroQuest. Now this card game flew completely under the radar, not just for myself, but for so many people out there. And I only found out about this recently from a post on the HeroQuest Facebook page. There were tons of people in disbelief thinking that this game did not actually exist, and I was one of them. But as time went on, more and more people posted photos of them receiving this game, and then lo and behold, I received my copy. It's official. This game does in fact exist. Now this is a standalone game, and as far as we know, there are no expansions available. This card game is not available in Canada or the US, so you will have to visit the Amazon.uk website to pick up your own copy. Alright guys, the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm gonna bust this box open, I'm gonna show you the contents, and then I'm gonna show you how to play the game. With all that aside, let's get to it because the quest is calling. And here is the box for HeroQuest The Card Game. I'm personally a big fan of the updated artwork on this box. It pays great homage to the Les Edwards artwork on the original HeroQuest board game. This artwork is absolutely beautiful. I am so happy the way it looks. I honestly couldn't have asked for a better cover art. Yes, it does have that World of Warcraft look to it. It is an updated version. And honestly, I just really love it. Sure, I'll take the Les Edwards artwork any day of the week, but for a remake, this is a wonderful piece of art here. And I would totally have this poster hanging on my wall. You have the mighty barbarian, dead center, swinging his broadsword right at the viewer, of course with his fellow companions, the dwarf, elf, and wizard, doing battle against the evil forces of Zargon, who is in the back holding the evil book of magic. Now let's check out the side of the box here. We have the HeroQuest card game, and then we have this brief description of the game on the back. The card game. Make it out of the dungeon together. You and your fellow heroes are surrounded by Zargon's most deadly threats. To survive, you must battle undead, dread warriors, orcs, and other evil forces. Work together to assess the threats and fight back before the dungeon closes in around you. Can you get to the dungeon exit before you all perish? Defeat the powerful threats to win. So that kind of explains exactly what you have to do in the game. Escape the dungeon, destroy your threats, and then claim victory. Down here you have the contents of the box. Now this does look like a 2 to 4 player game, but I do believe you can play this game solo if you so choose to, and that's probably what I'll be doing for the next little while, as it's pretty difficult to get out and play games with your fellow friends these days. Alright, now let's open this bad boy up and see what's inside. Okay, let's see what is inside the box. Here we go. The first thing we see are the instructions on how to play the game. Again, it does say 2 to 4 players up here, but I'm pretty sure you can play this solo if you choose to. Now, I have read these rules numerous times, and they do seem pretty easy and simple to understand, so any player shouldn't have a problem learning how to play this game. And here is the one thing everybody disliked about this box. I am on the other side of the fence. I honestly don't care what this is. And if you can't tell what this is, these are the dice stickers. Yes, you have to make your own dice in this game. Now you can use these dice in your original HeroQuest game system if your dice in that system are worn and torn and you can't even see what's on there, like mine, for example. They've gone through a lot of battles, a lot of quests, and they can use an update. Now we'll get to building these a little bit later. Now here are some templates that you gotta pop out like any other kind of game. You have your damage tokens here, you got your treasure tokens up here, you got your dungeon door. Basically that's the door you gotta get to escape the dungeon, to escape your quests and win. Now here you have your hero cards. They are double-sided, which is really nice. You have your female and male options. Whatever you choose to be is entirely up to you. They're the exact same. They have the exact same stats, so it's an aesthetic thing. And then we have our dice bag here that we have to build. Now these dice are quite large and quite heavy. They are much bigger than the original dice from HeroQuest. But hey, that's cool too. I'm totally fine with bigger dice as well. And then lastly, we have the HeroQuest game cards. And that is literally all that's inside the box. Now let's open this bag up. Always handy to have a sword. Now you have your double-sided turn order cards here. These are just for the players to hold on to, so they have references to what's in the game, the symbols, the threat symbols, exactly what you have to do on your turn. Once you play the game once or twice, you probably won't ever have to look at these ever again. Next, we have our threat cards. These are essentially what you need to play the game. You have, of course, Fire of Wrath, Ball of Flame, Potion of Healing, the Water of Healing, all the cards that Heroic Brew, all the cards that you guys are familiar with from the original HeroQuest game are in here. A lot of them anyway. The Broadsword. Now these are the threat cards, the main dungeon tiles that you will be playing on. The objective of the game, again, is to defeat all the threats and stop Zargon. That's it for the cards. Now I'm going to take a moment to pop these tiles out of the cardboard sprues, and then I'm going to take another moment to put the stickers on the dice. And there we have it. All of our dice are stickered up and ready to roll. Now that we have everything out of the box and off the sprues, I think we're ready to begin our game demo. Alright, adventurers, welcome to HeroQuest The Card Game. This is my preferred layout for a 2-player game, but of course, you can play any way you like and place the cards wherever it is you want. On the right side here, we have the turn order card and the treasure tokens. On the left side, we have the threat symbol card and the wound counters. For this quest, I've chosen to use the wizard and the barbarian as they are my favorite characters in HeroQuest. And every hero in the game gets 2 combat dice. Even the wizard, yes, he still gets 2 combat dice. Now the objective of the game is to escape to the dungeon door, right up here. But first, we have to actually get through the dungeon. And to do that, we have to select a set amount of cards for this game. Because we are playing a 2-player game, in the rulebook it states that we must play with 25 dungeon cards. Now I have already gone ahead and chosen 25 cards, so I'm going to put them right on top of the door. Then each hero selects 2 cards from this dungeon pile. I've gone ahead and drawn 2 cards for each hero, and I will put them right here. Because this is a co-op game, we can actually play with all of our cards face up, so each player knows what we have. Now, I just want to note with these 2 cards that when you play this game once, maybe twice, you'll never have to play with them again. But for the sake of this demo, we'll play with them and we'll keep them right here. Our first step is to choose who goes first. Well, we will start with the wizard and we work our way clockwise, but there's only 2 of us, so the barbarian is going second. The first thing heroes do is play a card from their hand into the dungeon. Up here will signify the dungeon floor. So I'm going to go ahead and choose one of these 2 cards from his hand and play him in the dungeon floor. And I'm going to choose this card. I'll explain why I chose that card, but first we must examine our hero cards. Each hero card has these symbols corresponding to these symbols over here. These are called threat symbols. Same threat symbols are present on each of our cards. You'll notice that there are skulls next to each of these symbols. The symbols with 1 skull represent the ease of our hero being able to defeat these cards. So, in the sake of a barbarian, it is easier for a barbarian to defeat a dread knight and a melee attacker. And we'll get to why in a second. The wizard has an easier time defeating magic cards and to heal himself. You'll notice that there's heal a wound, search for treasure at the bottom of the card here. You'll notice for the barbarian that he is not good at healing a wound. He requires 2 of the white shields, whereas the wizard requires only 1 white shield. But it is also very difficult for the wizard to defeat anything else that is not a magic spell or a magic dungeon card. Let's examine the dice. 3 sides of the dice have skulls, 2 have a white shield, and 1 has a black shield. So if you examine these heal a wound and search for treasure, you'll notice that, well, we have a harder chance to heal a wound for the barbarian. He needs 2 white shields. There's only 2 on the dice. It's a lot harder. Whereas for the wizard, he only needs 1. Of course, we're going to be healing throughout the game, so bear with me here. I know I'm overloading you with information, but we will get back to all of this while we play the game. So back to why I chose this card up top. Well, the wizard is good at defeating, well, the magic card, as it would be just as easy to defeat that card that has the orc and the magic as well. However, just a general rule of thumb, whenever there's a card with multiple threats, you want to get rid of that card immediately. As soon as possible, try to get rid of it. It'll save you in the long run. Now, I say that because when there are 3 matching threats in the dungeon floor, and you'll notice that we'll be putting more and more of these cards up here. Once 3 of the same threats appear in the dungeon floor, then the round stops, and then each hero must take a wound counter. These wound counters cannot be healed. The only way to heal a wound counter is to have spells or cards such as, luckily, we drew the Potion of Healing. It says your hero may remove 1 wound from any hero, including yourself. When you heal as an action, you cannot remove one of the wound counters. You must use one of these cards to remove a wound counter. Again, we'll get into that when we get into that. So let's begin our first turn with the wizard. First step, he places a card from his hand onto the dungeon floor. Next step is, well, take an action. Now you have 3 actions you can do per turn. You can attack one of the threats on the dungeon floor. You can heal a wound, or you can search for treasure. To search for treasure, very simple. You take your 2 dice, you roll, and you roll anything but a black shield. When you roll anything but a black shield, you take one of these treasure tokens, and underneath, there will be a symbol. Whatever symbol you draw, you immediately destroy all threats on the dungeon floor. In this case, if, for example, the wizard wanted to search for treasure and scores this card, we would then destroy that dungeon card because this symbol is on that card. That goes for any cards that are on the dungeon floor. These treasures are very sacred. Definitely don't use them anytime you want. Definitely use them when you absolutely need to. So let's continue with the wizard's turn. He played a card from his hand, and now he gets to perform an action. Well, with the wizard, I'm just going to try and defeat this card because, like I said, the more threats on a card, the faster you want to get rid of it. So I'm going to take 2 dice, and I'm going to need to roll just 1 skull. As you can see here, he's strong against magic. There's magic up there. So all we need to do is roll 1 skull. There we have it. We rolled 1 skull and 1 white shield. All we need is 1 skull, and therefore the card has been destroyed. We place the card in the discard pile, which I'll keep right there. And then the last thing you do on your turn, as it says here, is draw a card from the dungeon deck. And then you put it into your hand. We'll get to all these cards that we draw when their turn approaches. Next, it's the barbarian's turn. Let's see, on the barbarian, he is strong against dread knights and melee attackers. Well, we have a dread knight right here. So we're going to try to kill him right off the bat. And what's great is that the wizard is also very strong against this dungeon tile as well. As an action, I'm not going to search for treasure or heal a wound. I don't have any wounds, so we're going to go for the attack. Let's see what we roll. Boom. We roll 1 skull, 1 white shield. So this dread knight has been defeated, and we place this card in the discard pile. Last thing we do on our turn is draw a card from the dungeon pile. All right, now it's the wizard's turn. Now this is the card the wizard drew from the dungeon pile. You'll notice that it has a skull. This means that this is a wound card. Wound cards do not get played up top. Instead, a wound card must be played on yourself or a fellow hero. Now, in case I forgot to mention, when any hero loses 4 wounds total, any hero, then the game is over and Zargon wins. So keep that in mind when you're playing these cards on your fellow heroes. Now, if I want to play this card on the Barbarian, he suffers a wound. Well, it's quite hard for the Barbarian to heal himself, right? He needs 2 white shields. But it's a lot easier for the Wizard to heal himself. He only needs 1 white shield, right? So I am, of course, going to throw this Fear on top of myself, because next turn, I can just try to heal myself. Now, there is text on some of these wound cards. This text says, during your action phase, you cannot attack, only heal, and search for treasure. Excellent. Perfect. That's what we want. So, yes, we're going to play this on ourselves. We suffer 1 wound, but now for our action, we are going to roll the dice, always 2 dice, and all we need is to roll 1 white shield, and we just get rid of that card outright. Bam, we rolled 1 white shield. Therefore, this wound has been healed, goes in the discard pile. And then the Wizard draws from the dungeon pile. That's it for the Wizard's turn. Now we move on to the Barbarian. Now the Barbarian, of course, is not going to play this, the Potion of Healing. He hasn't been damaged. He is going to play this card. Now, he is not strong against the undead or magic dungeon tiles. So I'm just going to go and wing it and hope that I get either 2 skulls for the undead or 2 skulls for magic. Oh, look at that. Boom, 2 skulls. That was a shocker. I was not expecting him to roll 2 skulls. Therefore, this dungeon tile is dead. Goes in the discard pile. Looks like these 2 are rolling through the dungeon. Oh, a Dread Knight. Okay, that's exactly what we want. And a melee threat. Okay, excellent. Where everything's going, I think, according to plan. Now, it's the Wizard's turn. The Wizard, of course, is going to play this card right here. Of course, because he's strong against magic dungeon tiles. So, again, we're going to take 2 dice. And all we need is 1 skull. Boom! We rolled a skull and a white shield. This card is done. In the discard pile. We draw a card from the dungeon deck into our hand. Now the Barbarian's turn. Don't worry, this game does get a lot harder. I've already lost 2 out of the 3 games that I first played, I lost. So this is quite lucky. Now, Barbarian's turn. We are going to play this card. As by now you understand why I drew that card. And how easy it is to actually kill him. So, again, all we need is 1 skull, and that card is gone. Oh, of course! It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. It happens in HeroQuest, the board game, all the time. So we fail that roll, and when you fail the attack, then that card remains in the dungeon. And that's how you get more cards in your dungeon. And now let's draw a card. Summon Orcs. All right, it's a wound card. These are the wound cards. So again, these are the cards we play on ourselves or a fellow hero. We don't play them up there. The only way that these wound cards are played up here is if we draw them from the dungeon tile deck. We'll get to that when we get to that. Wizard's turn. Let's choose to put this card up top. Now remember when I said when we encounter 3 threats of the same type, we suffer a wound. So we have 2 Dread Knights out of the 3. We're getting close to suffering a wound. Hopefully we don't suffer a wound. Now, our action. What are we going to do? We could search for treasure, or we can try to attack. I don't think the Wizard will be able to take down any of these guys, but we're going to try anyway. We're heroes. Let's see. 2 skulls. We're going to try to take out this card. Why this card? Because, well, the Barbarian is strong against both of those. Alright, we only rolled 1 skull and 1 white shield. We need 2 skulls, so that card remains. The Wizard then draws 1 card. Okay, another wound card. Alright, what the Barbarian is going to do is he's going to summon Orcs and put this wound on the Wizard. So Wizard suffers 1 damage. Barbarian, for his action, is going to attack this card. He needs 1 skull. There it is. 1 skull. Barbarian does it. This card is a goner. And then he draws from the dungeon deck. Tempest. Tempest is a wound card, and the text is, you must miss your action phase on the turn this card is played. Remember, that is very important. Wizard's turn. The wizard is going to play Ball of Flame, but he's going to do it on himself. You're probably wondering, why am I doing all this damage to myself? Well, like I said, it's easy for the wizard to heal himself, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We need to roll a white shield to make this successful. Let's see what happens. Okay, we fail. We don't get the white shield, so he is stuck suffering 2 wounds for now. And then he takes a card from the dungeon deck, puts it into his hand. All right, Heroic Brew. Perfect. I love this card. I love the illustration. Your hero may use 1 extra die during your action phase. That's a great card. Barbarian's turn. What are we going to do here? We are going to... Now, I'm not going to use the Potion of Healing. That is critical and healing wound tokens. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to play this Tempest actually on the wizard. I'm damaging the wizard because I know the wizard could get out of this. All he has to do is heal himself and he'll be fine, I hope. Take a card from the dungeon tile, put it into your hand. The wizard's turn. Remember, this card says you must miss your action phase on the turn this card is played. So that's why I didn't get to attack, because I had to miss my action phase. I still get to draw a card, but I don't get to do anything else. Wizard's turn. Wizard is going to play this card right here. Now we're running into trouble. We got a couple monsters up top, a bunch of damage onto us. We have to start healing. All right, wizard, roll a white shield. You can do it. There it is. He rolls 1 white shield. That's all he needs to remove 1 of these wounds in the discard pile. And of course, he draws a card from the dungeon deck. All right, so the wizard healed. Excellent. Barbarian. He's going to attack. He's going to play a card. Let's play this card. Like I've mentioned before, we're going to get rid of the card with the most threats, which is this card. All he needs is 1 skull for that Dread Knight. There it is, 1 skull. Draws a card from the dungeon pile. All right, this is an interesting card. We'll get to this card on his next turn. All right, the wizard. He is going to play Heroic Brew on himself. Now, he's not going to heal this turn because we are encountering a lot of threats up top and we need to start eliminating them simply because we know what this card can do, and I'll tell you what this card does now. Because there's a door on it, that means we engage in a random encounter. So when I, for example, play this card, we actually have to choose a card from the top of the dungeon pile and put it up on the dungeon floor. That can be very dangerous, and we can easily trigger 1 of the wound tokens because we'll trigger 3 like symbols. So we're going to use Heroic Brew on himself, and we're going to try to take this card out. The Heroic Brew allows me to use 1 extra combat dice. And what we need to defeat the trap or the undead is 2 skulls. Hopefully we can do it with this many dice. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that is a perfect roll. Wizard is just blowing things away into the discard pile. And of course, he chooses a card from the dungeon pile. All right, Barbarian's turn. Now, this could be very dangerous, but I am going to need to play this. I'm going to play that card. So we have a random encounter. We choose 1 card from the top of the deck, put it here. Okay, excellent. It did not trigger anything. It didn't trigger anything bad. It would actually be impossible to trigger. So that's good. What the Barbarian's going to do is actually try to kill this threat right here, because the wizard has a chance to defeat this card, so we'll leave that card for him. And of course, the Barbarian could take this card out. So their next biggest threat is this card. Oh, he gets it with a skull. Draws a card from the dungeon pile. Command. Your hero rolls 1 fewer die during your action phase. Next up is the wizard. The wizard is going to play this card right here. Of course, because he can let the barbarian take care of those guys. The wizard is pretty safe. Yes, he suffered 2 wounds. Now the wizard is going to try and heal himself again because as you can see in the barbarian's hand, he has a wound card, which he will most likely allocate to the wizard. So the wizard is going to roll a white shield, fingers crossed. There it is. So we're going to remove one of these cards in the discard pile. And of course, draw a card from the dungeon pile. Excellent. This game is going absolutely smooth. Okay, barbarian's turn. Like I said, we're going to apply this spell onto the wizard, but now the wizard rolls 1 fewer die in his action phase. These texts are very critical. You got to keep those in mind. And I didn't keep that in mind when I was thinking about this card right now. I totally didn't think about that. So, oops on me. That being said, it's going to be a lot tougher for the wizard to remove this spell. If anything, I should have applied it to myself so I can heal. All right, what the barbarian is going to do is he's going to try and strike down this card right here. Boom, he does it with 1 skull in the discard pile. And what's he draw? Wandering Monster. The text says, return 1 random card from the discard pile back to the dungeon. Now that's a great card and can change the game. I'm telling you, it's very dangerous. So we gotta watch out for that. All right, the wizard's turn. What is he going to do? Now the wizard is going to play this card. And why I said that is I'm going to actually try to search for treasure. All he needs to do is roll anything but a black shield and we search for treasure. Let's see what happens. He rolls a skull. Bingo. So we find treasure. And what is it? Mummy. So any of the tiles up top that has a mummy or the undead is destroyed. And this treasure is discarded immediately. And he draws a card from the dungeon pile. We have not suffered any wound tokens yet. This is fantastic. Good job, wizard. Barbarian. Oh, he got Water of Healing. Look at that. That's perfect card for his next turn. Absolutely perfect. Barbarian, what are you going to do next? Wandering Monster. I think he's going to put that onto himself. And that says, return 1 random card from the discard pile back to the dungeon. So I'm going to take the discard pile. Give it a little quick shuffle. Put it back. Draw the first card. And what is it? It is that card. Okay, not bad. And then for the barbarian's action, he's going to try and take down... Let's try and take down this card, right? Because we have 1, 2 traps. We need to get rid of, we need to get rid of one of these 2. But it's going to be easier for the barbarian to take down this card. Let's try it. He only needs 1 skull. Of course, the barbarian fails. So nothing happens. And now he draws a card from the dungeon pile. Uh-oh, another one of these. Not good. The wizard. The wizard is going to use Water of Healing. Your hero may remove 1 wound from any hero, including yourself. He's going to use this on command. So those go in the discard pile. And now the wizard is back to 2 attack dice. And for his action, he is going to try to take out this card because of the magic tile. He needs 1 skull. He gets 1 skull. Perfect. Let's throw that in the discard pile. Let's move on. He grabs 1 card from the dungeon tile deck, and it's the broadsword.
The broadsword.
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 Your hero may use 1 extra dice when attacking a threat. And now the barbarian's turn. What is he going to do? You know what? Let's take our chances with this card, shall we? Let's see what happens. All right. We're gonna use this. Now, if I was playing by myself, I would definitely use this. But for the sake of this demo, let's play this card. That means it's a random encounter. Let's see what happens. Okay. Ooh, look at that. It's another random encounter, but there are no other cards in the dungeon tile deck. But look what happens here. We suffer a wound token because there is 1, 2, 3 undead symbols on our dungeon floor. That means each of our heroes suffer 1 damage token. we're going to take a damage token, put it on the barbarian, and then one on the wizard. Remember, these damage tokens cannot be healed using an action. They can only be healed using these cards. And once you suffer the damage, you take these cards up top on the dungeon floor, you give it a quick little shuffle, and you put it back on the dungeon door. And then, of course, as always, he draws a card, puts it in his hand. We know what's in there. It's scary what's in there, so let's keep that in mind. Let's move on to the wizard's turn. The wizard is going to play this card right here. Why? Well, of course, he can defeat it no problem by rolling one skull, because he's good against magic. One skull, there it is. He defeats that card. He draws a card from the top of the deck. The barbarian is, of course, going to play this orc and trap card here. Now, I'm not good at defeating traps or orcs, so I'm actually going to try to search for treasure. Keep in mind, in the treasure deck, there's only one of each threat symbol. So we've already found the undead symbol, so we're not going to find another one in there. There's a good chance we'll find the orc or the trap tile in this treasure. So we're going to roll a white shield, fingers crossed. There it is, a white shield. What is it? Oh, magic. Okay, well, there's no magic cards on the dungeon floor, so this treasure is wasted. And of course, takes a card from the deck. All right, wizard's turn. The wizard is going to use the broadsword on himself, so he has an easier chance to defeat that orc or the trap. Let's see, we're gonna roll 3 total dice. Wow, he's been getting all the upgrades this game. See what happens. He needs 2. 1. And of course, the wizard does not succeed in that roll, so the broadsword card is wasted. And of course, he draws the last card from the dungeon tile deck. The barbarian's turn. Well, this is gonna be easier. We can only play this card. We could heal ourselves, but we can save that in case something bad really happens. Which something actually could happen if we let it. So barbarian, he's gonna take 2 dice. You know what? We've rolled the magic treasure and the undead. So there's a good chance now that we're gonna roll the orc or the trap. So I'm gonna, again, look for treasure with the barbarian. Roll a white shield. He rolls a white shield. And what is the treasure he gets? It is a Dread Knight. So again, the treasure is wasted. There are no Dread Knights in the dungeon floor. And the barbarian doesn't have any other cards to choose from. So then it goes on to the wizard's turn. The wizard is going to play this card right here. I chose this card because, well, it's easy for the barbarian to kill the Dread Knight. Yes, we are getting close with the mummies, but I think we're going to be fine for the rest of the game. So the wizard, you know what? Maybe he's going to search for treasure, and hopefully we can get these 2 cards removed. Actually, it would be the 3 cards. Let's see. Now, fingers crossed that the wizard does roll anything but a black shield. Boom! He rolls 2 skulls. Again, search for treasure is white shield or a skull. What is it? It is an orc. So, all the dungeon tiles up top that have an orc are instantly destroyed. That's a goner. And that's a goner. Boom, successful attack from the wizard. Again, there are no cards left for the wizard to choose from, so we go on to the next turn. Barbarian is going to, he needs to use a card from his hand, so he's going to use this potion of healing on himself to remove this wound counter. And then, for his action, he is going to just try to take down any of those 2. He is going to, let's go for the traps. Actually, you know what? We have a better chance with the treasures. Let's hope that we can roll the trap treasure. Oh, we rolled the black shield. So, unfortunately, the treasure is not ours. Let's move on to the wizard. The wizard has to play his last card. And the wizard is going to attack this card. It's easy for him to defeat that magic card. And of course he doesn't do it. He does not do it. And at this point in the game, it's basically a grind until we actually finish the game. But we're gonna finish the game. Barbarian's turn. He's going to look for treasure. And he finds treasure. It is melee attackers. Nothing. Wizard's turn. He has no cards in his hand to put on the floor. So now it's just him. Let's see if we can find a treasure to get rid of that card. We find treasure. And there it is. That's what we've been looking for to get rid of this card. And now it's the Barbarian's turn. And the Barbarian is just going to straight up attack. Hopefully he can land 2 skulls and kill one of those guys. There are no more treasures to be found in this dungeon, so we're just rolling away. And leave it to the Barbarian to defeat the final monster in the dungeon. And there you have it, guys. The Wizard and the Barbarian are victorious in their dungeon run. They've suffered minor wounds, which is no big deal. They shrugged that off like it was breakfast. Yes, that analogy makes no sense, but hey, this is HeroQuest. It doesn't make sense at all. Alright guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope my instructions were nice and clear and that you were able to follow along. And congratulations if you got to the end. It was a long episode, but don't worry, the rules are quite simple and I know you'll get the hang of it once you play a game or two. I know I'm definitely going to be playing a game tonight after I'm done shooting this video because I actually really enjoy this game. Give me all the HeroQuest. Give us all the HeroQuest. That's all we want. More and more HeroQuest because, as we know, there is nothing better. And as always guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and let me know down in the comments if you plan on picking this game up. If you have, do you enjoy it? Have you played it? What don't you like about it? Let's talk as a community. We all love HeroQuest. That is why we're here. Let's just chat about it down below. Alright, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're into toy reviews. I'll totally be reviewing the new HeroQuest game when it drops sometime in late 2021. I really can't wait for that. None of us can. More HeroQuest. That's all we want. More HeroQuest. Thanks again for watching, guys, and you can catch me in the next one.